People. Welcome to today, um, and we'll allow people to arrive as they arrive. So, welcome to Langley, and to those of you who haven't met me before, my name is Richard Hoy. My background is running sales organizations and businesses around the world. I've worked in 11 countries for 5 corporates over 40 years. And I find myself here as the CEO of a company called Catax, who we're working with businesses who are going through the effects of the pandemic. And this has really brought us to a point of saying, okay, let's talk about what businesses need to do to thrive in uncertain times. This feels like 2008 in many respects, and a lot of the same things that we're seeing in businesses from then are happening now. And we'll talk about how we survived and what we did to thrive in 2008 and what we've done in 2020 to see our business grow dramatically during this period. And this isn't a gloating session, it is the opposite of that. It's to talk about how implementation of some basic standards and basic things allows us to thrive and be relevant in the lives of our clients as our clients are going through some changes. So let me go on to the next slide. He said, page down. So there's never been a better time to sell. That sounds like a terrible thing, but things you were doing and things that companies were doing 6 months ago, they can continue to do, but they're not getting the same outcomes. So what we're going to do during the course of this conversation is talk about things you can do internally inside your own business, but we're also going to talk about those things that you've got to do when engaging your clients in the market, and why they're buying things in a different manner from the way they were buying them before. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you plan your business and build your business in the current world. And we're going to talk about the approach to market as well, and see how and talk about how these two things dove together. Please feel free to interrupt me if you have a question. This could be it can be a very long 45 minutes if I'm just the one talking with no interaction. So please feel free to interact as you as things come into your mind or you've got questions. So why do we have to change our behavior is I suppose the first question. And if you think about it, under most circumstances, people, when they're forced to change, the first thing they tend to do is to move to a place of it's not fair, the world is being unfair to me. And really, people talk about the idea that we'll hold on and we'll try and survive until the world gets back to normal. I've been describing that as trying to get back to the scene of the accident. The reality is you never actually wanted to be where the accident occurred. Your objective was always to go somewhere else. So the idea of trying to get back to the scene of the accident seems a little bit self-defeating for me. So I'll talk a little bit about that. I love this quote from Warren Buffett. When the tide goes out, you discover who's swimming naked. And I think that certainly we're seeing in the economy we work in at the moment, with all of the businesses going out of business and all those businesses who are holding on and hoping that things are going to get better, you're actually seeing a lot of companies that really don't have great strategies. And you're looking at a lot of businesses who are in a state of struggle and they don't have a plan to get where they need to get to, or you're seeing them actually die because they didn't have contingency and they haven't had the ability to pivot away from what they were doing before. So all humans, when confronted with change, this is the Wilson model for change, are confronted with the change, and basically they look at it in the same way. So essentially rejection, I'm not accepting this to denial, to blame, to despair, to this won't work, I can't do anything about this. The only businesses that actually get on and succeed in execution, or get on and succeed in pivoting away and finding a new path are those ones who take ownership and get into planning, and then not just wallow around in that pleasure of planning, but move into execution, which means embarrassing yourself, getting out there, seeing things work and seeing things fail, and then getting yourself onto a path of performance. The point is, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right. And those people who actually at a point where they don't see the way through to the future are the ones who are struggling the worst. And the ones that are really looking for the new opportunities, they might be finding just crumbs of opportunities, but at least they're getting that sweet taste of initial success of what the future can look like. I believe in this idea, this principle, that any business that's going to be successful, you have to have all your team members going in one direction. There needs to be a commonality of purpose. In other words, a mission. And you need to figure out what your competitive advantage is in any given scenario. And if your competitive advantage, your historic brand of competitive advantage doesn't work, you have to throw it away and find another one. And then you're looking for common standards that you can review and audit, that the team members own for themselves in helping you to build that business. Leadership can help corral a team into one direction, but what it can't do is get that team to success. You need every person's brain and every person's ingenuity to help you get there. I believe in aligning the business behind one set of objectives and values, creating that inspired leadership to actually go up that hill. And leadership is only really two things or three things: making sure everybody knows where we're going, making sure everybody understands what the role that is that they have and how it fits in the role of the rest of the team, and then making sure everybody is in a closed cycle of constant review and truly honestly telling themselves when things around them are changing, that no, they're not just enjoying a short-term slowdown, but no, they actually have to change and they have to find new paths. And the thing is, inside your team, there is a common knowledge of things and innovations that if you pick the best of things from your own team, you'll find a path through to the other side of this horrible period where you'll feel stronger and you'll be ready for the next period of real growth. And that creates, if you have teams that are contributing and owning where they are, you create incredibly engaged teams. And engaged teams create engaged customers, and that is where the results and performance comes from. Our approach is the idea of perpetual innovation, constantly trying to challenge ourselves to be even better, focusing on thought leadership, courageous execution, being prepared to fail. And in a little while, I'll give you a glimpse as to how we review my business plan. And as you go through my business plan, there are 4 colors. The first one is green, and basically that means we should do that. Sorry, that's blue. The second one is orange, and that means we've actually started something and we're piloting and trying to make it happen. There's red, which means we actually tried it and it was a dud. And then there's green, where we've actually tried it and it's working and we're going to amplify and grow it out of all proportion. So, but if you're not reviewing your business plan on a regular basis, and most people view a business plan as a static document that maybe you do once a year or once every 5 years, or when you need to go and find money, you're missing the point. The point is your business plan is an engagement tool, and it's a way of constantly reviewing what's working, what isn't working, and what you need to try next. End-to-end programs take our customers out of the middle. So helping our customers take a problem and giving them an outcome is fundamental. And remember, in any market, the money is in the mystery, the profitability is in the mystery. That special thing that makes you different from anybody else is what attracts people to you and allows you to challenge them to pay you greater margin. A client we were with the other day asked me about my rates, and before I told him about my rates, I told him I was refreshingly expensive. At the end of it, when we told him about our value and we actually gave him our rate, he said, you led me astray. I thought you were going to be really expensive. The difference in the paradigm was he felt like we were bringing value because we were bringing outcomes to his business objectives. Our leadership commitment, and I view every employee in my business as a leader, regardless of their function, regardless of their role, regardless of their tenure with the team. They're responsible for, number one, we make money. Second thing is the demeanor of yes. So the answer is yes, we will figure this out with our clients. We will figure it out together. The answer is yes, we're going to find a way through. Abundance mentality is really important. If it isn't this, it'll be something else. There's always more. And this is a mindset that you choose to put into your business. And it's a mindset that you choose. And when the dreadful things come to you, you've got to grab hold of your head, squeeze your head really hard, and figure out why you're grateful that it's arrived and how you're going to turn it to your advantage. Perpetual innovation is an acceptance that whatever you did yesterday is only the foothills of what you can do tomorrow. This idea that you do something and you standardize it and you stay there isn't good enough in a world that's changing around you. And at the moment, every 2 weeks, this period of our market, our economy, our community is changing as we get new understandings of the way that COVID is operating and the way that the economy is opening and shutting. We can't sit still. Extreme ownership is this idea that we have to run to the fire. And as a leader, if you screw up, it's my fault. I should have been there for you. I should have found a way to help you to be successful. The idea that let's not worry about who to blame, always blame me, is such a simplifying way of looking at a business that there is no other scenario. And if you can get every employee with the mindset of we own this, and if something isn't working right, we own this. If you can get to that point, there is no time to spend with finger pointing. I fundamentally believe in being grateful and passing it on, being grateful for the efforts and the energies of my team. And as I said, as the market is changing, as the economy is changing, as the understanding is changing, there are times when we feel like we've slipped down a hill, when in fact, what we were doing just isn't working anymore. We have to readapt yet again. And as the team dig that out and really figure out how to actually handle the next phase of the process, we have to be grateful that they're constantly being prepared to throw away the last paradigm and move on to something new. The next thing is flawless execution. Is this idea we're looking for secure quality outcomes, not being reasonable. We're looking for something special. Does anyone have any questions up until now?
No.
Silence reigned and we all got wet. I will push on. The alarming truth, I believe in my life, is that you will get what you deserve over time. And so therefore, if you want a better outcome, deserve a better outcome. And for me, this is the most empowering thing. I've been through these sorts of crises in my career, certainly 3 times. And coming out of the other side, you always come out stronger. And you also come out with great stories and great teams of people motivated to do more great things. What's changed between, I suppose, 2019 and 2020? Well, 2019 was the years of big ideas. We're now in the years of measurable results. It was the years of projects. Now it's all about execution. It was teams. It's now about costs. Employee engagement has turned into management of your stuff. And budgets has turned into return on investment. So whereas people across an organization may have had budgets that were distributed, all of that's gone away and the money is in one place. It's with the CFO. And you're only getting the money out of the CFO's pocket if you're going to get more more value back in a reasonable period of time. The world has changed. But in one way, it's all got easier. Excuse me. The world has got easier. We know the money's all in one place. It's really easy to liberate if you add value. Decisions are remarkably fast, but there's a new problem because the money is with the C-suite, and your new problem is getting their attention and being worthy of their time because they believe you're going to make their world better. Everyone's looking for a golden bullet, one answer. The truth is, in sales, there is no golden bullet. It's a myriad of things. So for a moment, let's just drill into sales. So what are sales? What are salespeople? I hear people talking about right now this idea of being reasonable. This is not the time to be reasonable. This is the time to do the right things. I hear people talk about salesmen are born, they've got the gift of the gab, and I think that's the worst bunch of nonsense at all. The reality is most of the great salespeople I know are people who are authentic, diligent, they care about their customers, and they dedicate themselves to working incredibly hard. Most of the people I see who would be referred to as having the gift of the gab, I watch them flare and crash in cycles over and over and over again. The idea that great ideas and products sell themselves, I think, is nonsense. And there are so many great products that failed to make it, regardless of whether they had better technology or not. I hear people talking about, oh, I have a long sales cycle. You have a long sales cycle only when you haven't got a good enough need, if you haven't understood from the client what their crisis is, and if you're not helping them remove their crisis. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. With a little bit of luck. The reality is you can get lucky as a salesman, but if you rely on it, you're going to be a bum. The idea that people like me and people buy from me because they like me, again, is a paradigm that I've heard all the way through my career. But I've outperformed those people who talk about that time and time and time again, mostly because I focus on my client. I care about my client's success, and hopefully they'll like me, but that isn't the prerequisite. So this is Boeing Field in Seattle right now. If you went into the senior executive of Boeing and said, I can make your problem go away, I can fix your business right now, I can make that picture change, you have to believe you would get their attention. You would have to believe that if you were talking from a place of credibility, that you genuinely had a solution to their problem. Whether it's the planes that have been downed, whether it's the planes that haven't been sold, or whether it's the planes that are on lease that are now back on the ground and they're having to shoulder the cost associated with that. I guarantee you that if we went in and talked to those people about having a solution to their business problem, we would have their full attention. It would have to be quite a solution, nonetheless. Sales is a simple formula, and those people who've worked with me for a long time know that I live and breathe by this. And this doesn't matter whether you're talking about one salesman, whether you're talking about a sales team, or whether you're talking about a whole organization. These are the only 5 variables that you run and you manage as an organization. Did you see enough people? Did you see the right people? Did you say the right things? Did you take the leaps of faith to try new things, to find greater value? And the luck one is, did you take every shot? Because you can't get lucky if you don't get out there and risk embarrassing yourself and risk looking wrong. If you, for those salespeople who sit on their hands until they have a perfect solution to a problem, guaranteed they're going to fail. The world will move on without them. I'd like you to just focus on those. Activity, do enough, focus, do it in the right place. Skills, become really good at it by practicing, rehearsing, role playing, whatever it needs to be. Courage is doing something outside your comfort zone with a reason, and luck is always taking the shot. If you do that, you get a superior result. You get a superior result following this formula if the times are good. But in a time like now, this is imperative. When you're talking to senior leaders, they only care about 4 things. If you strip away every other thing in their world, every other thing in their life, it comes down to these 4 things. That makes selling to senior executives, CEOs, CFOs, COOs really easy. Unlike any other part of the organization where they care about features and price and staying in a job and all of those sorts of things, these guys, these men and women only care about 4 things. They care about the productivity of the money that has been invested. They care about the profitability or the retained income after they have sold something. They care about the customer intimacy, which could include the stickiness of clients, how the customer churn. It could talk about the average revenue per customer. It could talk about selling more to the customer in a shorter period of time. It could talk about your customers referring you. And right now, this is an incredibly, incredibly important tool. Your customers are your greatest asset in helping you to grow your business. In Catax, we have grown from nothing to over 300 clients through introductions and through our customers' referrals. And the final one, against those 3 that point upwards, are the 4th one, costs. Costs in themselves are not a major selling point at the CEO level. But in the context of the other 3, this is everything they care about, everything they think about. I refer to these as the 3 ups and 1 down. My team are tortured by this all of the time. So when we look at executive interests, when you look at a senior executive, they care about culture, business results, quality, and innovation. But by the time you're down at an operational level, they're looking at the line by line focus, goal execution, easy life. But you can see how, as you move from a senior executive down to a buyer or a technical person in the field in your business or in your client's business, there's a path from strategic down to tactical. And you really want to be over on the left-hand side of this slide, because when you're over on the left-hand side, the decisions are fast and they're larger decisions. Features don't matter. The reality is people buy outcomes. They're not looking for features. Although I have to say, I still would like to have this particular Swiss Army knife. Your objective is to discover the problems, find where you can add value, impact your clients. Needs matter, real needs. Where's the pain? Where's the thing that is bringing torture and keeping you awake at night? And the value of pain is equal to the value of a solution. Never forget that. Features don't matter. So those people who go into a customer and spray and pray, hoping the client will go, oh, I just wanted a gadget to take a stone out of a horse's hoof or something like that, really are missing the point. Features don't matter. You might find someone who wants a stone taking out of a horse's hoof, but you're not going to find them very often. So how do we plan for success? Before you have a business plan, I think your feeling really often feels like that on the right. And those people who have been thrown into turmoil during this last period are feeling of betrayal, feeling of dissatisfaction, feeling of bad luck, feeling of it's somebody else's fault, feeling of despair. The truth is, there is no such one plan. And I believe in a fundamental layering of plans in my life. So starting with a life plan, who do I want to be? What do I want to be? How do I want to live my life? And this has made me make choices, including moving across the planet. How do I build a business plan? And then underneath that, the territory plan and the action plan. But if you were to think of this as a hierarchy of plan, a hierarchy of importance: culture, strategy, structure, people, processes, execution plan, and tactics have a hierarchy of importance in each of those plan models. But what does a plan look like? And it doesn't matter what of those hierarchy of plans we're talking about. First of all, if you're not on a plan, it doesn't mean you haven't got a plan. It probably means you've got a fairly crappy one. I love this slide because it's the only time in my life I've ever been able to put zombies on a slide. I view somebody who hasn't proactively thought about a plan as somebody who is just unconsciously going through their life. And we all know people who have been going through their life in an unconscious manner. And usually, in fact, always, they're people who have got less to show for what they have done. For those people who start with one great question, in the perfect world, what does good look like? All of a sudden create consciousness to create the reasons to make changes. So I believe in a simple circle. Every business plan starts from this place. And again, I apologize for those of you who've known me for years. You've heard me say this before. Always start with this one question. In the perfect world, what does good look like? So what is my desired state? Then what are the values of good? So in other words, what am I prepared to do and not prepared to do to get to good? In the context of, therefore, what does good look like, we need to see what our current state is. Now, behind that, you want to see your strengths, what's helping you to be successful, and you want to look at the restraining factors or development areas, so you can actually move from where you are to where you want to be in a structured manner. It means that you don't have somebody just coming up with crazy ideas that don't join up with the strategy. Then you develop the plan and execute. This is my business plan, or put another way, this is our business plan at CatX. This is version 37, and that is in 15 months. We work on it together. Every single aspect of it and every attribute in it is known by every team member of the business, and everybody has input into the business plan. There's a lot of actions complete. And as you can see, the color coding comes in at the beginning. But as you go through the document, it's got color coding and some fairly rude, brutal honesty about what the things that we're not doing well that are in red. I believe business planning begins, and at every step through is driven by truth. Telling the truth as you can see it in that moment. In every moment, what we're trying to do is get enough information to be able to look further into the future and see more of the opportunities and the risks that are around us. And once we can see more, we can make better decisions. Sometimes piloting things is the only way to get enough information to know whether something makes sense or whether it's a complete nightmare and a disaster. You have to be in that cycle of doing something and then standing on it and looking as far in every direction as you can to be able to understand whether you're actually winning or whether you're going down a cul-de-sac back lane. So again, business planning is fundamental, and it's a session unto itself, actually quite a deep session unto itself, how to make a great business plan. But if in doubt, just ask yourself those questions. In the perfect world, what does good look like? And what are the values of good? What am I prepared to do and not prepared to do? And once you hold that up and you've documented it, you can be brutally honest with your current state. The secret of selling is be brilliant. Customers want you to be great. Before you arrive at a customer, most things are happening in a fairly consistent manner, or they're stuck in the mundane humdrum of the way things are happening today. Most people are boring. What they do at work's boring. What they're doing in their life is boring a lot of the time. So if you turn up and you have great ideas, and if you're deeply, deeply caring about their outcomes and their future and their success, they will pay attention. And customers like to talk about one thing, and you all know what that is. They want to talk about themselves. They don't want to look at your features. They want to talk about themselves. The most important thing in every meeting, though, is to ask for the business. The number of times I've watched salespeople come in, lay their heart on the table, and then leave without asking for the business. It makes no sense. And then you have those never-ending prospects that you delude yourself. You had a great meeting, but you walk out of the room and they stop thinking about you. There's a hierarchy of questions. When you're trying to understand the size of a problem for a client, the more specific you are and the closer you are to your own business, the less likely you are to have a successful meeting. If you go in and you ask them about what is important to you regarding telecoms or regarding photocopy or regarding printing or regarding scaffolding or regarding whatever, the likelihood is you're going to get an answer from a CEO which says, maybe you should go and talk to somebody else. You go and talk to someone about what is important to you with no guidance at all. They will tell you what's happening in their industry. They'll tell you what's happening in their business. They'll tell you what is in crisis that they really, really need help with. And the moment someone tells you what the problem is and what they're challenged by, the more you are able to make sure that what you're doing is going to make their life better. And it doesn't matter what you're selling, if you can apply it authentically to help their problem get better, people will care about what you have to say. Obviously, open questions are what, where, how, why, when, but the one I use the most is tell me about, because it already puts me into a power listening position with a client. Tell me about your business. Tell me about what is important to you. Tell me about the challenges you face. Tell me what's working. Tell me what isn't working. We're looking to hear language about cash burn, weak business funnel, scheduling inefficiency, poor sales skills, poor sales performance, long sales cycles, a desire to increase revenues, decrease costs, increase productivity, weak business undermining credibility, low customer satisfaction. Any of those sorts of subjects can be drilled into, and you will find something that somebody is caring about and something that you can find a way to make your product a solution to their problem. Are you a Tigger or an Eeyore? What's the difference? Does everyone know who Tigger and Eeyore is? I hope so. So Eeyore is always dour, is always non-enthusiastic, sees the downside in everything. Tigger sees the opportunity in everything. The reality is there are people who you'll see walk down the street who you cross the road or go round the block the other way to avoid. because they bring you down. They leave you flat. And there are people who you go, oh, don't know what he's going to talk about, but something good's just going to happen over here. This is going to be a story. Whether it wins or loses, you're going to walk away excited to be a part of something. Every moment of every day, you have the choice. So I have 5 secrets, not very big secrets. Always say where you are. I set the agenda by saying, hi, I'm Richard. I'm here to sell to you. You can see so often people go, oh my God, that's refreshing. We started with the truth. I like selling, and I'm not ashamed of being a salesman. I'm not ashamed of being a businessman. I'm not ashamed of wanting to do business with clients. And I make massive friends in the sales process. For the next 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm going out with people who are clients who have transcended into friends. And I'm going to go and have wine with them. Don't be boring. You can burst into flames. You can have a horrendous failure, but don't be boring. They can't forgive you for being boring. If you get it wrong and you screw up, they'll forgive you. And what's more, you can go back and go, look, I tried it before. Sorry, it was a big screw up. Can I have another go? And they will. If it was fun, they'll let you have another go. Don't stop selling. The only crime in a negotiation is stopping talking to them. They don't have to agree with you, but they have to keep talking to you. So don't throw the number of times I've seen salespeople, or actually CEOs of companies, throw a paddy in a meeting and storm out. When you're outside, I guarantee you one thing, the customer's money is still inside. So don't stop talking, and always ask for money. You're there for that reason. It's because you've told them why you're there. When you ask for money at the end is just the appropriate, fair, and decent way to hold a meeting. And then everyone walks away not feeling like it was a waste of time. So I'd like you to remember a few things. The road to success is always under construction. And particularly when there's been a crisis on the road, you have to expect that things are not going to be as they were, and things are not going to perform as they did. You can always choose your reaction to any stimulus. Whatever happens, you can choose to welcome that into your life. You can choose to reconsider where you would like to get to. And you can consider where you are now, despite something massive having totally derailed you. And you can choose not to fight to try and get back to normal, because you never wanted to be where you were at the time of the crash, but to try and get to where you want to get to. The definition of insanity is to continue to do what you've always done, or what you're doing now that isn't working, and to expect a different outcome. Yet we watch people every single solitary day continuing to do the thing that doesn't work and hoping for a different outcome. Sales is a simple job complicated by idiots. I'm sorry, this is a quote that I've been using for years and years. It sounds rude, but what it really does is it talks about activity, focus, skills, courage, and luck. All of those things are under your control. How many people you see, who you see, whether you're prepared and whether you know your stuff. Are you doing something outside your comfort zone with a reason? And finally, did you take every shot you could possibly take? Be different, be recognized, be seen, be noticed, be remembered, be different. And if you're not a very ebullient person, major on being super sincere, super dedicated to your clients outcomes. Be authentic, but be different. Thank you for your time. I'm going to stop sharing now, and hopefully you'll all come back into vision, because I've been trying to look at this camera, and anybody who would like to show their faces, it would be I'd be entirely grateful. Welcome it. Does anyone have any questions they would like to ask? Or Sumner, is there anything that you would like to say with regard to the chamber?
Hi, everyone. It's Sumner from the Langley Chamber. Just want to say thank you so much for joining us. I hope you got some valuable information, and thank you so much, Richard. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. And if you're looking to watch this video again, it will be posted up on our website.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity. It was, oh, sorry, somebody has chatted. Nope. You go ahead and get started in 4. There you go. Thank you very much for the opportunity. It was wonderful to work with you guys. Hopefully, this is something that you'd be happy to refer us as an organization and as a group of people. We care about our clients, and part of the reason we do this sort of thing is because we want to be known by more clients. So, Hakija, if you would like to reach out to me directly, please feel free. richard.hoy@catax.com. I'd love to speak to you. Other than that, let's say goodbye. Thank you, everyone.